Are we on? Good evening. Hi, everyone. I'm Riza. I head the residential business of Embassy Group. I take immense pleasure to welcome all of you to this live webinar and promise you an informal and fruitful session. We have received more than 1,000 registrations today, an overwhelming response, and looks like we've had to say no to a few of you because of the lack of number of seats which were available. I think this crisis has brought humanity together at a very different level, but has all made each of us realize the value of owning a home, making memories with our families, our safety and security. We at Embassy have always looked ahead with optimism, and this has been possible because of our strong belief in the power of partnerships. Good evening. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Hi, everyone. I'm Riza. I head the residential business of Embassy Group, and I take immense pleasure to welcome all of you to this live webinar and promise you an informal and fruitful session. We have received more than 1,000 registrations today, an overwhelming response, and looks like we've had to say no to a few of you because we couldn't accommodate most of you. I think this current crisis has brought humanity together at a very different level, but has made each of us realize the value of owning a home, making memories with our families, our safety, our security. We at Embassy have always looked ahead with optimism, and this has been possible because of our strong belief in the power of partnerships. The Partner in Excellence program is a journey that began as part of Embassy's effort to form strong, mutually rewarding relationships. Your collective effort, channel partners, have been integral to our success, and we are immensely thankful to you. We look forward to better days with you, and thank you for joining us. Specifically talking about our industry, I believe extraordinary challenges are often followed by extraordinary opportunities. Looking at the scenario objectively, the dark clouds have a silver lining. And I would say that the recent report by a global consulting firm stated that the first asset class to bounce back after the lockdown lifted in China was residential real estate. The March 2020 sales number stands at almost 95% in comparison to the December 2019 levels. Under the circumstances, India has a fair chance to replace China as a global economic leader and become the world's manufacturing hub. India has a competitive advantage in many of the industries like IT services, pharma, biotechnology. India will actively engage post-COVID in rebuilding the world economy. This will surely increase demand for real estate, and I think we can expect more FDI, better infrastructure, higher employment, and that would impact residential in a very big way. Investment in real estate is one of the safest options now. So despite this ongoing turmoil in the country, rates per square feet for residential real estate across branded players have not seen such volatility as being seen across the stock market or other financial instruments. So Sensex lost about 10,000 points in a month. So where is the safety in financial instruments? However, also the RBI's monetary policy decision early in March to slash repo by 0.75 basis points has made home loans significantly more attractive, presented potential homeowners with an opportunity that cannot be missed. The steep cut has brought interest rates on home loans to their lowest. That's about 7%. That's in over a decade. That's an incredibly low rate. At these low interest rates, availing home loans allow for considerable savings while creating an asset for end use or investment purpose. Furthermore, the borrowers can actually use the savings resulting from this reduced EMI to avail a top-up loan, also available at lower interest rates. The additional funds can therefore be used for undertaking interiors, related works, or widen the choice in terms of a bigger home, better amenities, lifestyles in a prominent neighborhood. From those who are looking to acquire a property for investment purpose, I would say that the rental income, they have their own set of benefits. Rental yields in residential are typically pegged between 2.5%. I think Embassy Boulevard, we've been able to actually increase that to about 4 to 6%. But with this effective rate of interest at 6.75, the net effect, if a home is purchased for renting, comes to about 4.25%. So this beats long-term inflation figures of India hands down. So it is that opportune moment. I would say that it's the time when, you're despondent as a customer is when the entire industry actually presents itself a maximum financial opportunity to you. On the larger perspective, we also see a rise in demand for new asset classes like integrated townships, self-sustained senior living, condominium complexes, which will reduce the need of buyers to venture out at times like this. So please continue to advise your customers on the importance of credibility of the developer, the track record of delivery, USPs of project, relevance of the project, all have to be weighed in before arriving at a purchase decision. Let it not be a pure price driven decision alone. The other aspect is the whole, limited inventory being introduced. So I would say ready to move in would be the next set of inventory to look out for. Most developers have deferred their plans for launching new products. And I would say post the lockdown, the ready to move in inventory will start seeing a definite pickup. There's also a very strong pent-up demand combined with rationalized pricing, support from the government on stimulus packages. The impending real estate boom is inevitable. From Embassy's standpoint, the residents continue to enjoy the good life. Considering current and unique circumstances, we've already got our product development team to start exploring new ideas on how we can infuse our learnings from the COVID crisis to make the future products more feasible, perfect for any such situation. True to our word, we have commenced handovers at Embassy Boulevard, Embassy Lake Terraces, Four Seasons private residences, and it's deeply gratifying to receive the high praise from the community of residents who moved in. They're extremely inspired by the product, by the specifications we provide, the community that we've been able to create, and this energizes us to continuously set new benchmarks. We have completed all the infrastructure in Bangalore's biggest and best planned city, Embassy Springs. And again, the township is coming to life. There are residents building their homes. And we also look forward to launching the different formats very soon. We will commence work on the school, the club, the row houses, villas, senior living as a concept, etc. this year as well. We had a very successful launch of Embassy Edge, India's first Alexa-enabled homes in 2018. And now we are working closely to see how we can improvise the product for the next launch. Embassy Residency, community of 1,500 plus residences located at Sholinganallur, hotbed of IT activity in Chennai, has inventory of less than 100 units today. We have rolled out some good schemes for that. Our entire residential portfolio today is supported by Embassy Services. The facility management arm of Embassy ensures a very safe and secure environment for its residents. We have seen tremendous gratitude from our residents at these projects in how ESPL or Embassy Services is managing this COVID situation. I believe Embassy is uniquely positioned to offer differentiated products to our customers, be it on format, that's on plotted developments, integrated townships, smart homes, uber luxury villas, ultra luxury apartments, or take investment bracket. We have products from 30 lakhs to a Four Seasons branded home at almost 80 crores a penthouse, or on time of occupation. So from under construction to ready to move in. So let's take flexibility of timelines or depth of products Embassy can present itself in its portfolio. With social distancing and safe practicing, which is the need of the hour, we have invested very heavily in technology and mobilized our teams to be able to assist you virtually. Our teams have adapted to the new normal. They actively operate from homes to ensure seamless business continuity. So do continue to reach out to them for any queries. At this time, I request all the channel partners to stay together during this tough time. We are in the best business, roti, kapda, makan, or internet, right? None of this is going out of fashion anytime now. And real estate will continue to be the most tangible, most real, and most secure investments that you can get. And we should also not forget that India is the youngest nation and the oldest civilization in the world. And together we can rebuild this prosperous nation. With that, I once again extend a very warm welcome to all. And I'm sure you're all now eager to decode the DNA. Before that, let me introduce you to the panelists who will open their minds and hearts to you. First of all, a very hearty welcome to Anuj Puri, who will moderate the session. Anuj Puri is the chairman and founder of ANAROCK. He has over 30 years of experience in Indian and global real estate markets, is a trusted advisor to developers and occupiers and investors. Anuj is widely acknowledged for revolutionizing the real estate sector with his visionary outlook, technology-based solutions, won numerous awards both within India and internationally for his contribution to the real estate sector. Today, I personally refer to him as one of the strongest voices of the Indian real estate industry. Welcome, Anuj. Can there be a webinar on decoding the DNA without the participation of the true DNA of Jitu? No. So, good evening, Aditya. Aditya is the CEO of Embassy Group. Aditya studied business administration from the University of Massachusetts and at University of San Francisco. Like the popular book, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard, Aditya learned all that they didn't teach in his university from his father, who exposed him to the real world, or should I say real estate world, from a very young age. Who else can be better qualified to give us an insight into the future and ideas that will shape the days to come? So welcome, Aditya.
Thank you.
In a webinar, I cannot say put your hands together to welcome Jitu Virwani, Chairman and Managing Director of the Embassy Group. I'm sure he's probably the one reason many of you have registered on this webinar today. You will agree Jitu needs no formal introduction. Suffice it to say that he is the brand that is Embassy, deep-rooted in trust, high on transparency, agile, relationship-focused, customer-centric, future-first, and one who creates wealth for investors, stakeholders, and partners. Pleasure to have you here, Jitu. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again, and over to you, Anuj.
Thank you very much, Riza. It is fantastic that you put this together. I think in the first 7-8 minutes, you've sold half of India's real estate to everyone on the screen. I was fantastic. Huh? Your data points were brilliant, and very compulsive. If I was one of the listeners listening to this, I'd be quite tempted to have a look at the portfolio that you announced.
Thank you so much.
I hope all of you are safe and secure. When Riza called me up earlier this week, I was like, Riza, I am webinared. I have been on so many webinars. And then she said as well, Jitu and Aditya are going to be there. I was like, I am happy to do this. And then she said, it's only 30 minutes. You get with these two gentlemen. And that is what we have. I've known Jitu for 20, maybe even more, 25 years. A lot of you know him, successful, positive, influential, wealthy, but also very mysterious man. And that is what I'm going to try and decode today, the mystery of him getting into the business and really setting up that business. But, before we go there, Jitu, 2 or 3 things, a little bit contextual, really where the market is, want to understand your views on perhaps all the 3 asset classes. Jitu, you're very significant on the residential, very significant on the luxury of the residential. You are the only one who owns a REIT in India today, a very successful REIT. Riza was saying is that the stock market has got hammered. You're amongst the rare stocks that continue to trade at a premium to the listing price of last year. So what's your thought on these 2 products? I won't go into retail because, retail, I think is sort of for the times to come has been badgered. But really on resi and commercial, before I get a little bit more personal with you.
So I think, on the resi side, I think that it's pretty going to change some of the dynamics of how we design residential areas, apartments, complexes, and like Riza mentioned that, the integrated township will actually going to be more as a preferred option for the buyer. Because, at least today, people living in these apartments, locked down, they can't go out to take a walk. And, it's, you're out in the street otherwise. Let's say if I lived on Infantry Road or Cunningham Road or somewhere, I could just get out on the street. But, if somebody was presently living in Embassy Springs could take a walk, there would be some sort of guidelines where how social distancing and how people would be out. So I think, and also security-wise, it's in one area, so you can actually control the dynamics of what people do, what your neighbor does, and everybody does because of guidelines which are done internally by the association. So I think that's one area where residential will, and I think a lot of this concept which we were anyway doing in Springs was, giving meeting rooms and offices and those kind of facilities. So even people, if on and off they're working from home, can use this because. Though I just feel that this working from home concept is not something which will really take off as much as a lot of talk is being going about in this lockdown, because largely people live in smaller homes, and the whole concept is that we've also been providing in our new developments all these areas where they can go and spend time. That's because the houses are compact. Now you don't expect a guy to sit at home and work from there. The speed of internet, all these things are going to be criteria for working from home. And a lot of people are migrant workers, so they're either living in PG accommodations. But coming back to the residential, I think that the luxury housing, in my opinion, will actually will be the first one to take off a lot because people would bring in all the investments out of the stock market and other asset classes and prefer to own an apartment which is real and the prices don't crash one morning. The fact that the stock market goes up is fine, but the stress it gives you for a few weeks, a few months, and you need the holding power to lose the stock value and bring it back might actually go away. Of course, the usual, most developers advertise 3-bedroom, family room, 4-bedroom, family room. It probably now go as 3-bedroom, family room and study. Will become more important because working from home concept will, I think, work at a senior management level, but at a low management level, maybe companies having few seats close by to homes and co-working space or WeWork or something like that would actually be more popular. But on and off, I think it's a great advantage for real estate going forward. Also, a lot of builders have got time to reset as far as the financial moratorium is concerned with banks because. I'm not saying that builders were in financial great difficulty losses, but there was some stress, which is more or less was due to people either overbuilding or overcommitting, and this will give everybody a chance to just pause and streamline their projects and go step by step. So I think that typically integrated developments, plots. Like, the developers like Embassy Springs, luxury homes will do well. But again, luxury market is a smaller market, which everybody has to recognize that, let's say a Embassy or a Prestige or an RMZ or, Salarpuria, each one knows that they can hang on to just so many units of luxury space. So then again, the main market being the, 40 lakh to 2 crores apartment. I think this would actually go with, the housing loan interest rates down. And I'm sure a lot of developers will also be willing to throw in further concessions to make it economical.
Yeah, no.
And, I've been saying repeatedly that I was saying it a year back that in next 3-4 years, the whole concept of selling these low-end apartments is going to change where, you probably just take 10%, deliver the whole apartment and then start taking EMI with lower interest. So I think it's be beneficial for this class of buyers because it's going to give them a lot of flexibility in buying and it'll be very advantageous to them price-wise. And I think banks are going to be very supportive in this.
Yeah. And then,
on the office front, on the office front, I mean, I think, like you said, the REIT is doing well. We've had 96% collection of our rents. Dividend is being declared on time. But again, here, if there are a lot of people talking about that there's not going to be much growth, it's going to be slower, but actually the companies which are existingly there, and these millions of square feet in India, just when they increase the per square feet per person ratio, that itself is going to be a huge market, which is going to be beneficial to large players, and there are only like 6-7 large players who understood, and I'm really happy that most of the colleagues are from my colleagues are from Bangalore,
yes.
who rule the Indian commercial market, and I think all of us Bangalore developers would do well. And also, I think coming forward, the new projects, because now even if we start construction from tomorrow morning, most projects are going to be 6 months delayed because of the way the rules have been set up for construction. And I think that will anyway bring in the time lag to build buildings, so the demand will be there, space is there. I'm sure Americans will give 500 square feet per person in America to their offices, but come and fit in 120 square feet in India.
Which, by the way, Jitu, I've heard that you're absolutely spot on. Where a lot of multinational, they're saying we used to be at 80 square feet per person, and we're being asked to move to 120 square feet per person. Whilst in the US, they're moving to 300. But that itself, that ratio is 50% more, space
that
they will
itself
need.
is a huge, market for us. And that's why I'm very bullish on, co-working, co-living, all of this to go there, because most of these organized sector where there is cleanliness, where there is streamlined, entry and exit, all parameters are maintained well, there are enough gadgets to do that. So I think this will all, go a long way. And that's why all these business parks will do well. All the single-owned buildings, office buildings, all collapse into parks. So I think that there's a huge amount of opportunity. Of course, people are talking about companies moving in, which the government is working on. That's another. So overall, most of the parameters going around real estate is going to be do well. So I think, all the IPCs, all the channel partners who are on the panel, first of all, hi to everybody. I've been seeing everybody is wishing all the panelists, but I have no way to otherwise wish you, but thanks for being here. Thanks for coming in such large numbers to listen to us. But I think it's a great opportunity for all of them to make money as far as commissions and deals are concerned, because the focus is going to be more or less on growth of the sector.
Yeah. So a couple of other things, Jitu, is that, once this lockdown opens up, and it looks like, on the 3rd or the 4th of May, many of the states may be able to open up the lockdown. Even in the red zones, it appears that partial private offices may be able to open up. What do you think is the thought going to be of the home buyer who was looking to buy a home before getting into this situation? Do you think he's going to be more positive? He's going to be a little discerning, or he's going to be nervous once he comes out on the other side?
So I think initially there will be a pause. I mean, people will wait, they will search, because no more a consumer today is, is well educated, well read. I think there will be an initial, I think so. Most people, I think this lockdown is the best time to spend and what you plan out the whole year ahead. And initial first few months will be about learning, educating people. And then I think gradually, the market will pick up. And as the, news of the virus also slowly dies down, people's memory is very short. But actually, at least the good part about this virus is, our country will be cleaner than before.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So Modi was trying to create so many toilets to this. That will automatically happen. And I think so. I would give it at least 3 months after things open up and subside. But that's a good opportunity to engage with your customers, educate them and what they need to do and what schemes are available. It will give time for developers to come and see what the market actually wants, how to entice the buyers to buy. So I think that we should all take this as a step to success, and a positive step that is just allowing us to pause and relook at where we do things,
Yeah. And then, Jitu, you're so realistic that, it may take 2 or 3 months for the home buyer to really come out. But, this may be the best time to engage with the home buyer, because, he or she is coming in probably from a smaller apartment now that they've lived 6 weeks together, with the in-laws and the parents and the dog and the cat and the domestic help and everything. They're probably, wanting to make that purchase that they had gone in 6-7 times and visited that site, but not actually done the acquisition. And now maybe just that, point on the brink where they actually do get converted.
Lots of times people for 100, 200 rupees a square feet go and buy in a development which doesn't have extra facilities. And these people will realize that what a blunder they've made, and then once they have the money, they want to move out of these apartments and go to apartments which are well planned and well built,
Yeah, I'm convinced, Jitu, 3 things, I 100% convinced. One, I can tell you is that ready to move in inventory will be far more attractive at this moment in time, because, they would want the risk to be gone. Second is it is going to be about good developers. It's going to be about the names that you had mentioned. It will gravitate towards that. And third is that they are going to look at security, they are going to look at safety, they are going to look at facilities. Because they have discovered that, if you have a clubhouse, at least I could have gone to the clubhouse and I could have done a quieter, Zoom meeting with my clients, with my colleagues. And, they would have got a little bit more space to do that. And I'm convinced that those three things are going to happen. I'm just mindful of time because I was told by Riza that max that I can stretch is 35 minutes. So I do want to get into you a little bit personally before I move to Aditya. Jitu, when did you start? How did you start? What prompted you to start? And also, the way the market perceives you, you have a huge appetite to take risk. So those 2-3 things, if you can just allude about your personality, it'll be fantastic.
Oh, of course, I got into this business because my father was in this business. My father actually was, I grew up in Bombay, and my father was a real estate broker. And, slowly he graduated into a developer. As kids, we would go to these Bhumi Pujas. So, of course, for some reason, the liking to the business was there. And then when I was in 7th, 8th grade, a particular incident just made me realize that I need to make money. And, I decided I have to be a rich man, and that to drive to make the money started, and, it continued. And then we moved to Bangalore, I would see my father going to construction sites. I would go with him because he never used to drive also. So I would drive him there. And, I went to Christ College. College was as usual, certain things in the free times. I would land up at the construction site. Somehow the business just fascinated me. And then, the drive to make money, and, there's a very old real estate agent called Irshad, and he was close to my dad, selling a building, Embassy Center. And then I started doing some deals with him, selling some plots for him. I still remember I got a sub-commission brokerage from him, 2,35,000 check, which was a lot of money. I was only in first year college, in this thing. So, it was quite exciting to have so much money, and your pocket money was $1,500 or something, So that's kind of, got me involved in the business. Anything I believe you do with a passion, it's always successful. And my father always taught me that just to be upfront, straightforward, clear, and, it would always pay in the long run. And it paid. The quality buildings paid. We were known for high-end residential buildings from the beginning, for a long time. And then I guess got used. I built buildings on the site myself, so I had a lot of experience of doing how things worked. I put plan sanction the corporation, so I knew how the system works, and that's kind of helped me in the long run. But in fact, coming back and where you mentioned that everybody takes me an high risk guy, but I think it's more. I'm a numbers guy, so everything. If you were to ask me any question of any transaction of mine which you thought is risky, I can give you the downside in a very nice way. And, so Aditya, Karan will tell you, and all the guys who work closely with me, I always look at the downside and go into a deal. I never look at the upside, but I don't know whether I've been lucky or I just managed to see things ahead of the game. And I keep telling, my kids also that the whole success of real estate is if you're able to see the danger around the bend, So I'm focused on it. So that's the key area. And we moved into commercial. At a time where commercial just started picking up, and I think it's because we built large offices, the demand grew. It's like you create a market. We went to Chennai in 2007 because when we were building golf lanes, a lot of companies wanted to go to Chennai, but the Chennai government wasn't giving approvals on time. So all the companies came back to Bangalore, and that's when I went and bought land over there because they would want to go to Chennai. But if Chennai government had given approvals on time, a lot of Bangalore's market would be in Chennai,
Interesting.
So basically, Bangalore has been a success story as far as commercial is concerned because you're able to get your occupancy certificate, plan sanction, water, power in a reasonable amount of time and commit to these companies and stay with them. And I think all my colleagues also in this business are highly professional in these matters, So,
yeah.
So I'm actually not a risky guy, but I'm perceived my whole aura around me is that, I take a lot of risk, But I've been lucky also. Basically, I have good people around me. I have a good team of people who work hard. That's important.
And Jitu, what we've discovered is that, the Bangalore developer, whether it's you or the other names, are very quality conscious. And, once we operate the rest of India, we discover is that, they may have been quality conscious on select projects. And then, they're very quick in cutting costs and, bringing down the quality to compromise on the pricing. Whilst in Bangalore, very, very quality conscious developers, you guys have never got tempted to, cut
so
the
I think
quality.
it became a way of life. People started building quality buildings, and to compete with each other locally, you have to keep up with the quality. And that's how I think a lot of countries have done well also, because, Italy or China or Singapore, because of the efficiency and quality they have. So it just becomes an inbuilt talent. And, if I want to compete with Prestige or RMZ, or they want to compete with me, they have to maintain the same quality. And also, Bangalore developers have not been actually extra greedy, because I always looked at our FSI cost versus our rent is far lower than somebody even in a Pune or a Hyderabad or Delhi or Bombay. So if my FSI cost is 3,000, I might be renting at like, 60, 70 bucks. But the same 3,000 FSI guy in another city rents it at 90 bucks. So then they were never able to grow the market, because they were just to outprice themselves. Because, I see always in real estate, you either have to be short-term greedy or long-term greedy. So I think most Bangalore developers are long-term greedy, and it's paid off. In fact, a lot of times I've told Irfan, that we should start a company which is 20% five Bangalore developers, and then go out to Bangalore, invade the rest of the country.
And that is happening anyway. You guys have come into Bombay.
Yeah, but we're going on our own, right? So we are vulnerable a little bit. If we go together, the banks and the IPCs, everything and the companies will back us much more.
And my last one before I move Aditya to you is, Jitu, what do you enjoy the most?
I always say that for me, my family and making money is the most important things, in that order. I don't make any qualms about it. I enjoy that most, but of course, and my whole adrenaline comes from my staff. Just being at office, being around people. It just keeps me happy.
And I've seen you.
I get all the intel of other developers from somebody accidentally. I never go searching for intel on other developers at all, what they are doing. I just, we're just focused at Embassy to do what we want to do and we think best, And that's why you don't find us in retail, because it's a science we don't know. I know how to build, we can build malls, buy land, but we don't know how to manage malls, which is a completely different science. So we're staying away from it. And I'm glad
you're coming. Yes, certainly now. It has been an asset class which has been badgered. The first one to get closed, perhaps the last one to open up. Aditya, if I were you and I had to sort of follow a very successful dad who's built everything on his own, it's quite a daunting task. To really shadow, one shadow a very successful man, and if that successful man is your dad, even more. How do you cope up with that?
Yeah, of course, it's a big job to step into, but I don't look at that. I don't think about what people are thinking about me and how they're going to compare me with my dad. I'm just grateful to have him as a mentor. Like Riza said, it's honestly better than going to a business school in Harvard. The training I've had under him has been phenomenal. In India, you learn things that how to deal with landlords, how to deal with bankers, various different aspects of business that you can't really learn from a textbook. So I'm really lucky to actually have this opportunity. So I'm basking in all the learnings I can. And very confident in myself that, when I'm in my mid-30s, I can develop a brand for myself that's, quite separate to my father, and keep adding to this massive empire that we have, and, keep growing the company. When I ask myself, what is the vision of the company? It's a good question. It keeps changing month on month, but I think the underlying vision remains the same. And that is to be leaders across asset classes in real estate. I think we solidified our position in office. We want to continue capitalizing on that. Residential is something that's founded this company, something that I'm personally very interested in, and coming back and re-strategizing on a new product. I think residential is something that's quite exciting, and I think you'll see a lot going forward in the next 5 years from Embassy on the residential front. But yeah, it's a big task. I'm up for it. I'm more than confident in myself.
Right. And then you do a fantastic job. I've seen you closely as well. I think what I really like about you, Aditya, you have an independent identity. And I've seen you on several occasions, having a very different approach, and very different approach and very independent views on that. So a delight to be with you. A couple of questions, Aditya. That you are the next gen, and you were the guys who were not buying resi. Because, well, I could go out and rent it for 2% yield. Why do I need to go and invest so much money? Do you think, after what's happened with the entire COVID-19, do you think that the next gen will be a little bit more tempted to now buy? I mean, Reza also said is that the interest rates are at whatever 7.5%, which I was just quickly calculating in my mind. It's probably 14-year low. Interest rates. So do you think that this generation is now going to get a little more tempted?
So there are two aspects to that. I think yes. I think right now when you look at least our portfolio, our average buyers are 39, 40 years old. I think that will continue because a lot of that age group who wants to secure an apartment for their kids, they've experienced the pandemic. Something like this can happen again. It's quite scary. You don't want to be in a position where things could get worse and you want to, and your landlord is pushing you out of your house for his own use. So I think that the security and the comfort factor, especially as Indians, is growing more because of the pandemic. And I think, this age group of people who have younger kids and buying apartments to secure them for their kids and renting out until they're at age. I think there'll be a huge jump, after this initial pause. I think, if you look at the younger population, what we've done is actually we forayed into co-living with Olive. And that was our answer to cater to the younger needs, the millennials who want to, who choose rent versus buy, they want to use their money on more experiences. I actually think, this is a rain check to that. Not saying that co-living will not be a success. I think definitely, caters to that migrant population. But I think a lot of younger people will be looking for this comfort factor and securing a house of their own. So you will definitely see a lot more younger people buying. It'll be interesting to watch the next year and a half to see how this COVID plans out. Everyone says public memory is very short. So that will determine, how that factors into not just millennials, but the Gen Zs. Going forward as well. So it's something interesting to watch out, but short answer, definitely, I think, for comfort, people will be buying more.
Yeah. One more question on the residential, Aditya. Do you think that the product and the design is going to change? Because, I've heard is that it is going to be a lot about psychology and sociology, with the impact that has happened is, I mean, do you have any thoughts whether you think that product design, output?
I think design has already been changing, and I think when we're looking at a new product that we're going to launch, when we launch our new residential product, we've actually designed spaces inside out, and from the co-living side, we've actually got Priestman Good, who by the way is doing the mission to Mars for NASA. And is designing our space. So, every nook and corner is well thought out. Of course, with the co-living, it's going to come fitted out. So even the furniture plays into the efficiency of the design. But we're using the same designer and the same concept to come into the mid-segment, which we've tested out in Embassy Springs. But right now we've been working on a massive plan to, working on construction costs and trying to optimize spends and see, how can we make this as profitable as we're doing it with luxury. So I think design was already changing. Ticket size was a big problem, especially in luxury. The flats were too big, and then the mid segment were just badly designed and didn't look as big, even though, on square footage, it was pretty substantial. So our mid-segment product, you know, on paper might not sound that big, but I promise you it's going to be, you know, very spacious. I think mid-segment still is, you know, the way forward. Just looking at ticket size, I think we're going to focus on three things: location, ticket size, and the product. And so with this mid-segment product, I think we also have to be quite careful on how we design spaces now post-COVID. You know, I think work from home is a real thing. I don't think everyone can do it, but I think, you know, the people who can afford to do it definitely would capitalize on that, and companies who've seen success with it and will enable their employees to work from home. So providing, you know, a study room, a smaller bedroom or convertible bedroom that can be future used for a children's room or you know, another amenity in the house. I think, you know, that's how we're going to relook at our mid-segment, you know, come back to our drawing board and see how we can still focus on the mid-segment, but make it even more efficient and make it more post-COVID friendly as well.
We have a lot of channel partners on viewing you, Aditya.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to know what will be your aspiration for the Embassy Group in terms of the geographical expansion.
Right.
Do you think you would get into territories like Mumbai or NCR or some of the other geographies?
Right. So, I mean, look, when I first came in, a lot more naive in the business, and I asked Dad, you know, why we're not in the north, in Mumbai, and like, you know, why we only in Bangalore? And, you know, I think I've understood his answer that real estate is regional, and, you know, we're very strong in the south. You know, we get good land deals in the south. So yes, we do want to venture out in Mumbai. We want to capitalize on the growth over there. I think, you know, in over the next 5 years, Mumbai and Gurgaon particularly, and Pune will be great markets to be in. Definitely, we have our eyes on it. And, you know, I think we're right now strong in the south, but,
yes,
you know, given, you know, something big that might happen with us, we'd have a very big foothold across the country. So I think we'd keep adding on that and then growing with the Pan-India team.
Yeah, and then, you know, with the Embassy Group, you can well expect that, you know, the growth and aspiration and expansion will continue. My final question before I ask you to address the channel partners a little bit, Aditya, is that, you know, both Jitu and you touched this work from home. And, you know, we're getting a lot of questions on that, this work from home. One of the large corporates, you know, has said is that a significant portion of their population is going to be working from home over the next 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Do you think, and you both of you manage, maybe both of you mentioned that maybe the top management can work from home, but you know that corporate has said is nearly 75% of their workforce is going to work from home. Do you think that's possible? And if it is possible, do you think would that start to impact the office market?
You know, I think it sounds nice to be able to say, you know, 75% of my workforce will work from home, but the reality is, and you probably face this with we've done online sessions with your peers, you have dogs, you have kids, you have like people screaming in the house. It's hard to get the house quiet to yourself. A lot of latency connections, you know, the threat of the firewall. Also, you need, you know, these IT companies need their servers running, security, you know. So I don't think down the line, a lot of people will have the luxury of working from home. I think that mass population will be quite minimum. But definitely, you know, the senior employees, including Dad, who I believe will be working from home quite a lot, will have the luxury for that. And I think it will be slightly more profound than it is. But, you know, it's really hard for me to see someone who's making, you know, 6 lakhs a year, who's sharing a room or sharing accommodation with various other people who are working in other companies, sharing internet, you know, the speed of the internet and kind of, you know, working undisturbed. I think, you know, it'll be a very small portion of the industry, of the IT industry, that will have that ability to work from home.
So really, it may not significantly impact the demand for the offices going forward.
Right.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And then Jitu and Aditya, any message that you would want to sort of give to the channel partners who are here, listening to you, wanting to eagerly associate, if not
Yeah.
already associated with you. So anyone, either you or Jitu, whoever wants to add.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can start with a small message and I'll pass it over to Dad. One, thank you for being over here and listening to us, but also we really think that this is an exciting year for Embassy and for you guys to partner together. We have a lot of stock that's going to be ready this year, and we've kind of come to this break moment of getting things ready. I think it's quite exciting. I think the luxury segment is going to have a slight pickup because of what's happened with COVID. So I think we're in a very good place, but also keep in mind that we're almost ready to launch a new product, a mid segment. Dive into this. So watch out for that, and I'm sure you're going to see more about it, later on this year.
On my side, to all the channel partners, I think, like I said, we're sitting and taking a pause. This is the right time for you to take a pause and relook at the market and your strategies of convincing your customers and clients. I mean, it necessarily may not be an Embassy product, but I'm just saying in generally, as channel partners, it's going to be a good year for you to make money after the first 2-3 months stabilizes. And I think if your marketing is much more focused and looked at products and, basically convince your customers to what exactly is the right product for them. And like Aditya mentioned, from our group, we've got a product which is the Edge, which is completely suitable for after COVID, because our whole concept was that a smaller office and a lot of working space outside which people could hire. So you use your house for your family, and then you do hire spaces to do your work outside. So if you have to work from home, which in my opinion still is, to me, is a very doubtful concept in our country. I mean, I had people after 1 week saying, I'm missing office, I want to go to office. So just the fact of, I've lived in Dubai, Singapore, and try to work from home, but the fact of leaving your home and going somewhere else and working, it makes you more focused and work. Even you walk out and go 500 meters and sit in a room, and you're much more focused at working. So I think, so we have this co-living concept, which is, for all the PG accommodation and bed units, which gives them privacy and cleanliness as far as COVID is concerned, and our luxury apartments. But in general, guys, I think this is going to be a great year for you to make money and convince, developers like us to pay you a higher commission so that you're more incentivized to sell. I think we're going to make money. It's matter you also capitalize on this boom and make money out of us.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic, Jitu. I really enjoyed. Riza had texted me that I could do 5:50, so I have 2 minutes to just sum it up. Really enjoyed the discussion. Very true. What you said is, Jitu, for the business that you build, and I think all the guys who are on this webinar, that make sure that you are aware of the danger around the bend. I think that is the success. All the guys on this webinar are entrepreneurs, and that statement they should really take tonight to make sure that they understand where the danger is around the bend, and equally to where the opportunity is. Like what you and Aditya have enumerated today, there are lots of opportunities out of that, and good entrepreneur will be somebody who's going to be able to cite that opportunity and be able to pick that up. I equally agree with you is that you should be long-term greedy, not short-term greedy. I think many of the developers in different parts of the country have been short-term greedy. Bangalore developers have done an outstanding job. I mean, you guys, salute to you guys. Across the board, Bangalore developers have done a outstanding job of that. And, clearly your and Aditya's views on work from home are interesting, and I think it will probably prove right that the top level management has the infrastructure and the facilities and may be able to work from home, but I think is that the younger one or the mid-level management may find it difficult. Aditya, I've made a note of the 3 things that you're really looking to make Resi a success for Embassy. location. And I was going to say is that you're probably going to use the same phrase, location, location, and location. But you're unique. You said is location, ticket price, and product.
Right.
And finally, Jitu, thanks for saying is that it's going to be a great year for all of us. You know, I am a firm believer that there's going to be a lot more positive that is going to come out of this event. That has happened. I'm very excited that many of the cities are going to open up, hopefully on Monday. And, you know, we are going to be able to come back to a much cleaner India. With that, Reza,
the company you're talking about who's going to operate 25% in 5 years, 25 out of, and they're in the market to get 4 million square feet. So I think 25% is going to be 4 million square feet. So can you imagine, like, you know, are they looking at something like 12 million square feet of space or 16 million square feet of space otherwise? I mean, it's easy to talk. And I find, you know, in this kind of situation, a lot of people say things which actually are not meant or they're not involved. So I always say, like, you know, if somebody is going in a financial difficulty, the people whom he doesn't owe money talk more about it than people he owes money to, you know. So this is exactly the same thing where people are not focused on what exactly is happening in the real term in the market. And I don't know. So this causes unnecessary, you know, waves in the market and, you know, damage to it. But in overall, I think that the real estate class is going to do really well in India, you know, whether it's land, warehousing, you know, co-working, co-living, residential, commercial. It's actually a really good time. And I think all the channel partners here, you must gear up, get some smart stuff, you know, people who have the gift of the gab and sell it. And like I said, developers like us won't hesitate in giving higher commission, you know.
Well said. Well said. And you know, the good thing is that corporate developers like you pay on time, pay as well. I think that is one of the concerns that the larger community has. Reza, I'm going to hand it over to you. With that, do you want to pass it on to Neeraj, or are you going to come back?
Anuj, thank you so much. It's an honor to be interviewed by you. You know, you're one of the biggest names in residential in India, if not the biggest. You know, so really an honor. I just have a small message to the channel partners before I hand it over to Neeraj. So guys, thank you so much for joining in. You know, like I said, this year will be an incredible year to partner with Embassy. We have a lot of stock ready. We're in a very good position, a huge advantage over, you know, other products that are out there in the market. So very excited about 2020, even though, you know, whatever's happened has happened. I think 2020, 2021, early 2021 will be a great year. So I just want to introduce to you our Partner in Excellence. The acronym PI, Partner of Excellence, also means Partners in Embassy. It means that we at Embassy want to share a piece of the pie with our channel partners. We at Embassy, we have recognized the paradigm shift, you know, post RERA. Back in the day, channel partners were just people who would connect buyers to developers. But now you guys are playing a more integral role in the whole marketing and sales aspect. So we actually value that a lot. Numbers speaks for itself, and you know, last year, even though how difficult last year was, 45 to 50% of our sales was through channel partners, and we actually believe that this number should be going up and will be going up, and we're excited to be able to share things with you. And Neeraj will, you know, talk more about the new offers we have for you guys. On this occasion, I take the pleasure of releasing our annual PI newsletter. I hope you guys find it interesting, and the same PI newsletter will be available on our residential website for you guys to download. I also take this opportunity to assure you as channel partners that we at Embassy work very closely with you and will continue to do so. You guys are indirect part of our Embassy family, and we really value your hard work.